All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Cybertron Deluxe Class Dirt Boss. Yeah, this is a pretty cool figure. This is actually one of the very first figures that I got from the Cybertron toy line when I was a kid. I got him in Hot Shot at the same time, and I remember being really into this figure. And honestly, it still holds up pretty well. He turns into this really cool kind of Velocitronian, like monster truck thing here. I love the way the wheels are done. They're done in this like translucent red plastic, and they rotate kind of, off of that centerpiece. So they've got that green line going down the middle, but attached to the side. I don't know. I just think it's a super cool look there. It has a little, like exposed engine up front there. Now, obviously, this is kind of one of those cases where it's just like, oh yeah, it's like an alien vehicle mode, but it looks pretty similar to like Earth vehicle modes. I mean, obviously it does look like a weird monster truck, like having the wheels attached down like that and being kind of like flat. So I think it relatively works, but it's not too far of a stretch from a regular monster truck there. But yeah, obviously being part of the Velocitron series, part of the Cybertron toy line, it comes with a one of the Speed Planet keys, which just plugs into the back here. And in this mode, all it does is it actually unlocks the wheels, so they rotate out like that, which is also how they are for robot mode, but it kind of just gives them a different sort of vehicle mode here, so it kind of rolls around like that. As a kid, I used to pretend that this was like a hover mode, and then this was actually like the rolling on the ground mode, but whatever, you can do it however you want, but it is kind of just supposed to be I don't really know what purpose that serves, but it can do it. It's kind of fun. And it's one of those mechanisms that you can kind of just like force and make happen. So if you don't want to use the Cyberplanet key, you don't have to. And it is kind of like this is part of transformation, but it actually has an alternate way of being triggered for transformation, so you don't actually have to use the Cyberplanet key to do the transformation, but it's a pretty neat effect there. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, just very standard one. Here is with Kingdom Sideswipe, so you can see what he looks like with another average size deluxe there. Here he is with Velocitron Speedia 500 Override for another, more modern Velocitron figure there. And then here he is with Cybertron Crumple Zone, another one of the Velocitron Decepticons there. And I think they look pretty cool together. But yeah, in terms of transformation, first thing you want to do is take this entire front section of the car and just rotate it down like this. It's going to be his robot mode legs, and then actually rotate them forward at the knee like that, and then just take these bumper pieces, which have gotten kind of loose over time, but you just want to flip those up to be the feet. And then when you rotate them around at the waist, it does automatically trigger that mechanism, because that's where you want the wheels for robot mode as well. So it's nice that it has like an alternate way to do that without having to plug in the Cyberplanet key. And then you want to take the arms here. They kind of tab in with these little bits into these green kind of, like smokestack pieces. Well, more exhaust ports, I guess. But you just want to unpeg those and rotate those down. And then take this little gray piece that tabbed into that and then rotate it onto the arm just like that. Rotate the whole thing around to the shoulder and then kind of bring it down like that. And just do that on both sides here. And then last but not least, you just want to take this entire back section with the port for the Cyberplanet key and rotate it down like that. And then take this panel, and it actually has the head on it, and then rotate it down. And there we have Dirt Boss in his robot mode. I'll just adjust the camera here for a sec. All right, and yeah, there's his robot mode, and I think it looks pretty good. He's got a really nice color scheme here. I love the head sculpt there, also using that same translucent, like dark red plastic that the wheels use for the eye. I mean, I assume the other eye is that as well, but you can hardly tell. But yeah, in terms of articulation, the head is on just a swivel here on this panel. I mean, you can bring it up on this panel, but it doesn't like look good. And honestly, like that's one of my problems with this figure too, is the head panel never actually sits totally like flush. It always sits up a little bit like that, which is not the end of the world, but it is a little bit annoying. But yeah, just a swivel there at the head. The shoulders are on swivels as they attach to the body, and then can rotate out to the side. Obviously, they run into all of the stuff with the wheels back here. He's got a bicep swivel, about 90 degrees of bend at the elbow there. It's got a waist swivel. Hips can go forward and back and out to the side. Pretty good out to the side movement. It's got a thigh swivel right above the knee. It's got a really deep knee bend just because of, how it transforms and how, the thighs sink into the like lower legs there. And then there's nothing really at the feet. I mean, you can tilt the toes kind of forward, but I don't think it really helps. I mean, I guess you can kind of get it in some poses where that's helpful. It's not going to hold any weight, but you can actually kind of, you can just bring the toe down to like where it acts sort of as a backwards facing ankle joint, but doesn't really work, I don't think. Now, in terms of the Cyberplanet key gimmick in this mode, mine no longer works actually, because when I was a kid, I decided that I didn't, like this gimmick being tied to the Cyberplanet key, so I edited it. What you're supposed to do is plug it in, and it flips over these cannons on his shoulders, and it had a little latch right here that plugged in there, and it had like a little spring. So when I was a kid, I just decided that I didn't really like that, so you just cut off that little latch and then disengage the spring, so now you can just flip it back and forth, which, I kind of wish I didn't do that, but it's not the end of the world. I would have, if I'd known that they were going to be this floppy, which I should have known, then I probably wouldn't have done it, but it's fine. Also, like, a little bit weird is that it kind of pushes his head up like that. You can see that, and then when you push the head back down, it kind of like ejects out the Cyberplanet key. So it's really just supposed to like activate the gimmick and then kick it, and then like you take the key out. But that's very weird. None of the other Cybertron toys do that to my knowledge. Like usually it's like, oh, you can just leave the key in there, no problem. But obviously if you want the shoulder cannons over, you don't want his head to be like sticking up like that, so that's very strange. But yeah, no, I mean, he's a pretty simple figure, but honestly, aside from like ankle joints, he's a pretty decent figure in terms of like modern articulation. Obviously, he's got these huge sort of like big kibbly wheel chunks on his back, but it's a really cool look, so it doesn't really bother me all that much. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with Sideswipe, just so you can see, pretty average size deluxe there, a little bit bigger than our modern deluxes, but not by a whole lot. Definitely a bit more mass with like the big wheel chunks, but he mostly fits in. Here he is again with Velocitron Override, and here he is again with Crumple Zone. So yeah, pretty cool figure from the Cybertron toy line. Honestly, one of my favorites. He's pretty simple, all things considered, but he's gets the job done, has pretty decent articulation, even by modern standards. He's got 5mm ports in his hands there, nice looking head sculpt, really cool looking alt mode, and it all works pretty well. I mean, I'm sure some people have problems with like the hollowness and the legs there for how the thighs fit into it, but that's not even alien by today's standards, so I don't really mind it personally. But yeah, no, always a really cool figure. Dirt Boss is also one of those names too that I feel like they've applied to a bunch of different Transformers throughout the years. Like it's Dirt Boss was a mini-con, Dirt Boss was this figure, Dirt Boss has been a couple forklifts like in the movie toy line and an animated. Granted the animated character never had a toy, but still. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't really know where I'm going with that train of thought, but he's just another one of the another one of the Dirt Bosses. But this is sort of my definitive like idea in my head of Dirt Boss, just because I've had this toy since I was a kid. But yeah, not much else to him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Make sure to check me out on my Instagram account. That's toys.n.art. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Cybertron Deluxe Class Dirt Boss.